friends, I'm Walker and welcome back to All About Nails, where we talk about vegan and cruelty-free nail polish. Today's video is going to be a color comparison video of Zoya's Fall 2018 collection, the Element collection. I've already posted my live swatching review of that collection, so I will link that up above. Just click on the little eye up there. But if you're interested in seeing each polish from that collection compared to some others in Zoya's collection, just keep watching. So I'm going to do this video a little bit different than I did my color comparison of Zoya's winter collection, which I reviewed first. I reviewed winter before fall. It's fine, nobody noticed. Just kidding, everybody noticed. It's fine. In that video, I held up bottles and I talked about them, and then I put in a little screenshot of swatch stick comparisons. I'm actually going to take all of this down to my table and I'm just going to film the bottles next to each other and then the swatch sticks next to each other. I think it'll be easier for you to keep track of them and see them. Let me know at the end of this video if you like this format better or if you liked my winter collection format better. I'm trying to figure out what is easier for you to see the differences between the polishes, and I think seeing them up close, more interactive, will be easier, but I'd love to hear your feedback. Let me know which one you like best. So let's dive in. I'm gonna walk through each of the polishes and then bring in a couple that they are similar to or different from and tell you my thoughts. Rumor has this really interesting shimmer, and Zoya has a lot of pinks kind of in this range with shimmer in them, and so I wanted to compare it to a couple that I thought were gonna be more similar than they actually are. So this one is Charity, and then the other one that I want to compare it to is Meadow. And so in the bottle, it's a little bit hard to tell, but I'll get these on the swatch sticks. All right, so here's Rumor. And then Meadow here has a bit more of a gold shimmer than Rumor. Rumor definitely has that pearly finish. And so even though in the bottle the pinks look really close, they're actually pretty different on the nail. You can see that that gold shimmer in Meadow really shines off. It really comes off on the nail, whereas Rumor looks a lot cooler and pearlier. And then Charity is a little bit different. It also has a warm shimmer, but it's not as kind of glowing and golden as Meadow, and the base is a little bit cooler to start with, so it's a little bit closer to Rumor, but the base in Charity is almost like a little bit more red. And so it's not quite as cool toned as Rumor on the nail. So Rumor was pretty distinct in my collection. There could be some other pinks out there that this is more similar to, but I'm pretty sure that this one's pretty unique. I'm just gonna bring Maryann in here as well. This is also from the Element collection because I think that Maryann should be compared to the same polishes as Rumor. It's kind of a similar soft pink base. This one though has tons of pink shimmer in it, and I don't have anything like this. I would say that Charity is probably the closest, but even that, they're all pretty different. So here are these four polishes. Again, I think that Rumor and Maryann, the two from the Element collection, are actually pretty unique in Zoya's collection. The only other comparison that I wanted to make for Rumor was Ariel, because I think that Rumor in that last comparison looked really cool toned, whereas compared to Ariel, it actually looks pretty warm toned because Ariel has this silver shimmer in it and not much else. And Rumor's got this really interesting mix of silver pearl finish and also has this warm glow. You can kind of see it right here. So Rumor next to Ariel actually looks really warm, but compared to almost every other polish, it looks really cool toned. So I thought that was an interesting comparison, but again, Rumor is super unique in Zoya's collection. All right, next up is Jenna, and this is one of the pink creams in this collection. And this one I also had a bit of a hard time finding a comparison for. I think that there are a couple pink creams in Zoya's collection that are similar to this that I don't own. So I would look at this compared to Flora maybe, which is one that I don't own. The ones that I do own that I compared it to were Xana, which is a similar kind of cooler toned pink, but it's not quite the right cool tone. It still has a little bit of, I don't know, I almost want to say mauviness to it. And I did compare Xana to polishes like Rue in my neutral mauve comparison, so it's not a perfect match for Jenna. And then the other one that I pulled in for comparison is Missy, because when Missy came out this summer, everyone talked about how it was this really great cool toned pink. And here we are in the fall and we have another really great cool toned pink, and they're totally different.
So Jenna has a lot more blue in it than Missy does. Missy has a lot more white, which makes sense because Missy is a summer polish. It's meant to be, you know, a bright summer polish, and Jenna's should be a little bit, you know, deeper for the fall, at least if you're kind of adhering to the standard definitions of seasonal polish, which Zoya definitely is. So Missy looks similar in tone. You can see that they're very similar in tone here, but on the nail, it clearly has a lot more white, it's a lot lighter. So for me, Jenna was pretty unique in my collection. Again, there might be another one in Zoya's collection that I don't own that it's closer to, but I would bet that it's pretty unique even among the pinks that are not in my collections. So this is Layton, and Layton I'm comparing to Casey. In the bottle, I would say they look almost identical. Layton looks maybe a little bit more purple than Casey. Casey looks almost a little bit more black. On the nail though, I think Casey is a little bit of a thinner formula, a little bit of a lighter formula, maybe a little bit more jelly. It's not jelly, but it's a little bit lighter, and so it lets more light in. And so on the nail, Casey does come off a little bit more purple. Like it's a little bit more obviously purple than Layton is. When I wore Layton, I did see purple pretty frequently, and in the bottle it looks more purple. I just think the formula of Casey lets a little bit more light in, and you can kind of see this bubble right here that shows you that this is a little bit of a thinner polish. So I think these two are super close. Casey is a little bit more purple on the nail than Layton is, but I really love the formula of Layton. I thought Layton was beautiful. I think if we were gonna get super, super picky, Casey is a slightly more red toned purple than Layton is, and Layton is a little bit more of like a true eggplant purple. So I think if you wanted to be super specific, you could say that they're not that close, although in the bottle they do look almost identical. All right, next up is Rachael. Rachael was one of my absolute favorites. It's the super, super dark red. So this is Rachael. And I'm gonna compare Rachael to a couple similar super dark, deep reds that are on the border of purple, right? They're not totally red. The first one I'm going to compare it to is Anja. And again, these two in the bottle, I would say look almost identical. Here's Anja on a swatch stick. And they are super close. I think if I hold them in the right light, you can tell that Rachael is about one tiny drop more red than Anja, and Anja is just one tiny drop more purple. So I love this color, and I would say I want both of them, and I will wear both of them, and I love both of them. If you don't feel like you're gonna wear this super dark vampy red a ton, then you probably only need one of these. I love these really deep, like winey red colors, so I think I want both of them, but they are super close. Again, Rachael a touch more red and Anja a touch more purple. So here's Tony, and Tony is very clearly many more steps purple than Rachael, but it's in the similar family, right, where it's this like super deep winey between red and purple color. And I really like all three of these polishes. I think they're really great for fall and for winter, but Tony is definitely different. Tara is another one kind of in this family that again looks a lot more purple and a lot less deep than Rachael. All right, so the next polish is Kendra, and I'm gonna compare it to Aubrey. So Aubrey and Kendra are super close. They're definitely close to each other. Kendra has a little bit more almost red in it, and Aubrey is a little bit more grayed out in the bottle, but on the nail they look almost identical. It's kind of hard to tell them apart. Aubrey is just a touch more gray, but they are super, super close. The one that is the most different is Paige. Paige shows a little bit more pink than Kendra and Aubrey, and on the nail shows a little bit more pink as well. So you can see Kendra and Aubrey are this like grayed out red mauve. They look almost identical, but Paige is pretty different. So I would say that if you have Aubrey, you probably don't need Kendra. I think they're really similar. I again really like this shade for fall, but I do think that Kendra and Aubrey are pretty close. If you love this kind of color and you love this family, I think you could definitely make the argument that Aubrey is a little bit more grayed out than Kendra. So they are not identical dupes. They're not identical dupes, but they're super, super close. Okay, up next is Ruthie, and Ruthie is one of these, again, in between like red, purple, pink, mauve colors, and so I am going to compare it to some other mauves in my collection to see how distinct it is. So the first one I'm going to compare it to is Madeline, and Madeline is definitely less pigmented. It's more grayed out than Ruthie. It doesn't have as much pink in it as Ruthie does, but I think they're similar in that kind of in their spectrum, they're both pretty grayed out. So what I mean by that is that Ruthie is definitely in this like red toned mauve spectrum. It's not as purple as some other mauves. And so Cocoa is the one that I want to compare it to, but it's definitely not as intensely red as Cocoa is, right? Ruthie's definitely a lot more pink. And similarly, I think Madeline, I'm not making any sense. All right, so the next polish that I'm looking at is Ruthie, and Ruthie is another one that doesn't quite fit into any category. So it doesn't really match my mauves. So this is like a pinky toned mauve. This is Madeline. And Ruthie doesn't really match Madeline. It's got too much red in it, but it also doesn't really match Cocoa, which is a red toned mauve, because Cocoa has way too much red in it and it makes Ruthie look really, really pink. So once I put this collection together, I thought maybe Ruthie is more similar to some of the polishes that I compared Kendra to. So if I pull Kendra back out, just take Cocoa away for a minute, here's Kendra. I thought maybe these are more similar, but you can see that Ruthie is so much less pigmented than Kendra. I really think Ruthie doesn't have anything that it's identical to in Zoya's collection because it's not as pigmented, it's not as intense as some of these other kind of in-between pink and red colors, and it's not as like red toned mauve as Cocoa, nor is it as kind of grayed out pinky mauve as Madeline. So Ruthie was one I had a really hard time with that I didn't expect to. So here is Maeve, and Maeve is this really warm toned purple, so I thought I would pull a couple other warm toned purples from my collection. And the first one that I thought of was Margot, because Margot is warm toned, but it's kind of this similar shade as Maeve where it's not totally purple, it's got a little bit of pink in it, but Margot definitely has much more pink in it than Maeve does. So Margot looks almost like burgundy here compared to Maeve, and Maeve looks super purple. And then the other polish that I pulled was Kieiko, and Kieiko is another warm toned purple, but it's significantly more warm toned than Maeve. It's got a lot more pink in it than Maeve does. Maeve still leans pretty heavily blue here, and you can see how cool it is, even though it looks super warm compared to my cool toned purples. So this is a really interesting comparison to me. I'm kind of diving into the world of purple polish, and I don't know that I realized there were so many kinds of purples. So this was a really fun comparison for me. Maeve is definitely unique in my collection, and it could be that there is another polish that I don't have because I don't have all of Zoya's purples, but I'm gonna bet that it's pretty unique in Zoya's collection too. All right, next up is Donnie, and Donnie is another warm toned purple, but Donnie definitely has more pink in it than Maeve does. Maeve is a lot cooler, even though they're both warm toned purples. So I did compare Donnie to a similar polish. I compared it to Margot. So here's Donnie and Margot. And Margot had too much pink to be compared to Maeve, but it has too much purple to be compared to Donnie. It's much deeper than Donnie is, and much almost richer of a purple, and Donnie's a lot lighter, has a lot more pink in it. It's almost a berry tone shade. So I pulled out a berry polish, Ciara, and thought maybe I'd be getting closer, but Ciara just has way too much red in it. It is not the right shade of pink here. So Donnie was pretty unique in my collection as well, and I don't know, I'm not a fan of these super warm tone purples on my skin tone, but looking at these bottles, they're just so beautiful. So maybe I'll change my mind and decide I like them someday. All right, here is the one that I have been most excited for. This is Alyssa, and since I first saw the promo for this collection back in August, I have wanted to compare Alyssa to my favorite fall red, which is Pepper. And I was so excited that they might be similar enough that I would love them both, but different enough that I could justify having them both and wearing them both and loving them both. And I think they are. In the bottle, you can see that Pepper is a little bit more brown and Alyssa is a little bit more red. And on the swatch stick, they come out pretty close, but you can see that there is some actual difference between them, right? They do not look like the same exact polish. And I think especially when I bring in some others, the differences stand out even more. So I'm gonna bring in Courtney because Alyssa is a really deep red, but it is not this like ox blood red, right? It is not as deep as Courtney, and it's not as brown as Pepper. But if I bring in just kind of a straight red, standard red, this is Alex. Alyssa is definitely not as red as Alex. It is so much closer to Pepper. So I really think that these two are close, but because I love this color, I am gonna keep them both and love them both. I mean, I would keep them both no matter what, but I'm gonna love them both equally and see them as different polishes in my mind. So I think they fill a similar void. So if you have a deep fall red that you already love, I don't think you need Alyssa, but if you're like me and you just kind of wish that you could wake up and wear Pepper every day, then I think you would probably love Alyssa. All right, and now we're gonna talk about some glitter. So this is Devon, and Devon was kind of hard for me to try and match because it has this really steely blue base, but then it has this almost copper gold shimmer in it. And the only one that I think is close in my collection is Feifei. Feifei does have a very similar shimmer. It's this kind of coppery gold shimmer in a blue base, and it's a grayed out blue base, but it's a little bit more steely blue, and Devon's a little bit more like denim blue. I'm not sure if that's right how to describe them, but I think that Feifei almost has a little bit of a kind of green tinge in the bottle, and Devon looks like denim. So the base is definitely different in these two and looks pretty different on the nails, but the shimmer is very similar. So if you have Feifei and you really like the shimmer in Feifei, I think you'd like Devon potentially even more. Devon has a little bit of a better formula. It's a little bit more opaque. And so, you know, you could be drawn towards Devon instead. All right, and then our last glitter, Gardner, is definitely unique in Zoya's collection, but just to kind of give you a sense of where it falls, I did pull one pixie dust, so I'm gonna pull Alice. Alice is a very similar color to Gardner. The only thing is that Alice has kind of through and through just one color of glitter. It's just got these really like purple toned glitters, so it's got some hot purple and then some cooler purples. But Gardner has purple glitter and something else in there. It's kind of hard to tell, but it looks like it's maybe got a slightly different shimmer than Alice. It's kind of shocking in the bottle how similar these look, and I think the biggest difference is just the finish. So Alice is obviously this matte pixie dust finish. And so because we're talking about Blurple, I wanted to bring in kind of the classic Blurple from Zoya. This is Danielle, and Danielle is just here to show us how blue Gardner is, but it's really in this family of kind of between blue and purple. So these are the closest I had for Gardner.
Awesome, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you learned something from this video. I hope it was interesting. Maybe it made you think about a polish in your collection differently. And as always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments. What was your favorite part? What part do you have questions about? My favorite thing about this platform is engaging with you all in the comments. So definitely let me know your thoughts and your opinions. I would love to hear them. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. I post new videos every Wednesday, Saturday, and every other Sunday.